Welcome to The Perspective. My name's Lorie Hartshorn, and I'm really glad you're joining us today. Let me ask you, do you love clutter? I doubt there's anyone out there who's going to say yes to that. We all feel better when our place is cleared of clutter. I don't know about you, it helps me think better, helps me function better. But the truth is, I don't always live clutter-free. And today I'm really looking forward to our guest. Her book is called Declutter Your Heart and Home. And we're thrilled to welcome Julia here, who's helping people simplify their lives in a truly transformative way. Julia Ubbenga, she is a minimalist living coach and the founder of Rich in What Matters, an online community dedicated to helping others find freedom through intentional living. And her debut book is out, Declutter Your Heart and Your Home. How a minimalist life, that's a tricky word, minimalist life yields maximum joy. It offers a fresh approach to minimalism, one that's actually not just about getting rid of stuff, well, that's good, but about creating a life of deeper peace and presence and purpose. There's something we all want. Well, Julia's own journey is a powerful testimony. Listen to this. She's reduced her material possessions by 75%. Wow. She's broken free from $40,000 in consumer debt, amazing, and discovered financial freedom and joy all through the power of minimalism. And if you've ever felt overwhelmed by clutter, whether in your home or your schedule or even your heart, this conversation is for you. Julia, welcome to the show today.
Thanks so much for having me on, Lorie. It's great to be here.
Okay, that is impressive that you would get rid of 75% of your stuff and reduce your consumer debt. That is simply amazing. How did you get to a place where you knew it was necessary?
So many of us are overwhelmed right now, and a big reason why we're overwhelmed is we simply have too much stuff to manage in our homes, in our hearts, in our minds. So the book tells a story that I haven't always been a minimalist. Far from it, actually. For years, I bought more and more stuff. I racked up $40,000 of consumer debt, like you said. I had all this stuff, but I wasn't happy. And for me personally, this led to a lot of stress and anxiety. And that's when I realized that my stuff was the problem. So I got rid of 75% of it. And I learned that you can live an abundant life without an abundance of stuff.
That is powerful. Do you think that our stuff, why do we buy all the stuff? Why do we need all the stuff in our life? Because I'm sure many of us listening are going, but I need my stuff.
I think society tells us that we need it. We believe that line that the more we have, the happier we'll become. We think happiness is found in our next purchase or possession. I certainly did for many years. And it wasn't until I experimented with less and realized I really didn't need all that stuff to be happy that I realized that maybe the way the culture was telling me to live wasn't really the way I needed to live.
That's so cool. Often we misunderstand minimalism, don't we? I mean, we think it might be about having a cup and a bowl in the cupboard and maybe just t-shirts and jeans in the closet, but it's not simply just getting rid of things, right, Julia? How do you define minimalism, and what are maybe some of the common misperceptions we have about it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lorie. There are certainly misconceptions about minimalism. When I first heard the word minimalism, I thought of a home with white walls, next to nothing in it. And many people think a minimalist is a person maybe who dresses all in black, only owns 100 things. Maybe they don't have kids because they don't want their house to be messed up. But it's not that. It's not that at all. Minimalism is simply a tool to live your life with intention. It's about making space for the things that matter by letting go of the things that don't. And this applies to more than just your stuff. It applies to your possessions, yes, but also your thought patterns, your calendar commitments. You just start questioning it all, and you begin identifying what's essential in your life and then eliminating the rest. So it's about owning the right amount of stuff, not too much, not too little, so that your focus remains on what truly matters.
Is that what happened to you? What was your breaking point that you decided to go down this path of minimalism?
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I realized that I had too much stuff and the stress was just too much. I actually was diagnosed with postpartum depression, being at home, a stay-at-home mom, and I just had to get out of the overwhelm. And so that is really what I ended up doing, just letting go of my stuff and realizing there was such a lightness to my life as I lived with less. And then the book gives so many tools for anyone who feels called to do that too. to make that possible?
Well, you know what? Having kids, having babies, that early years of even having, especially when they're young, it is overwhelming for many. Would you say that the state of your home, whether you've got kids in it or not, can actually reflects the state of your soul? And just unpack that idea for us that you share about decluttering brings inner peace, like you said. So how does the state of our home reflect the state of our soul?
In my experience, it does. The book is divided into three sections that parallel a journey through an outer and an inner home. So the first section is laying the foundation, decluttering the soul. And then the journey continues up into the home to decluttering the main floor and the heart, and then continuing up to decluttering the upstairs in the mind. So there's always that outer and inner piece to decluttering throughout the book. And as I let go of my unneeded physical items, I realized I was actually curating two homes, an outer home and an inner home. And the first housed my possessions, but the second, the home of my soul, housed God. And I realized that my inner home was as cluttered as my outer home. And my inner home was filled with things like comparison, hurry, fear, distraction. And I talk about those in the book and give tools of how to declutter those. But this was a problem because our inner home is what Paul says is a temple of the Holy Spirit. And it was only once I decluttered both my inner and outer world that I really began to feel his movements in my life and then did find more of that inner peace.
I think that's very true in our lives. I mean, I shared just in the opening that I hate clutter. And it's not that I'm, OCD and everything's perfect in my house or whatever, but I really feel like I can't almost think with clutter around me. And so the external does affect the internal, doesn't it? When you first started the process, tell us a little bit about how it made you feel when you first started. Was it a little scary for you?
Well, was ready to experiment with it. I needed a change. And I would say that I felt so much better immediately. I just could think clearer. I could be more present to the people around me. And I think that is when I realized I was really on to something, when I could really focus on my husband and hear his answer to my question instead of asking him something and being like, oh, I have no idea what he said because I'm so distracted by all this stuff around me. And I could sit with my kids, I could play with them again and really just focus on them. So I was able to start seeing the details of their lives when the clutter started leaving our house. And that was such a game changer for me.
How did your husband and even your kids feel about it?
They were a little skeptical at first, especially since I was such a spender and used to buy stuff all the time. I'd buy my child, our oldest, I bought her a toy every week there for a while. So it was a big change for us. And once they saw just how much it changed me, I think that they were on board.
Yeah.
And they all know now.
Did you see a change in them eventually too? Like, did it have an impact on them?
Yeah, especially my kids. They have grown in generosity so much. Even just last weekend, they were invited to a birthday party. And so I said, hey, just shop the house for a toy. And it was no problem for them just to go through their toys, to grab something, put it in a box, and take it to the neighbors. And I think that if we weren't in that habit of constantly questioning our possessions and letting go of what we didn't love and want anymore, I think that would have been hard for them. So I think it's definitely made them more generous.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, isn't it? And I think my dad used to say this, do you own your stuff or does your stuff own you?
I love that.
Right? And
Yeah.
I just think stuff can control our lives in such an unhealthy way, either having it or not having it. And that's a beautiful thing that you're creating in your family and your children. Is it a switch of value system? Have you learned that it's like you're changing your value systems, not just with stuff, but with everything else?
Yeah, it teaches you to really discern what you let into your life. And that can be your commitments. Are you saying yes to everything just because you think you need to be doing and doing more? Or are you actually discerning your calendar commitments, the things that you buy? It makes you a more intentional consumer. So, yeah, I think it does shift your values to what really matters. You focus on what really matters, and then you can align your life and your choices with that.
That is beautiful. Well, we're going to come right back with Julia and we're going to learn more about decluttering our heart and our home. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back to The Perspective. It's a delight to be learning about how to declutter our heart and home with Julia Ubbenga. Welcome back, Julia. Tell me about your faith. It plays a significant role in your approach to minimalism. And, how has your faith influenced this journey? And how do you see the connection between the spiritual and physical simplicity?
I love this question. My faith has helped me detach from my possessions. Initially, it was really difficult for me to let go of my stuff. But then I read Paul's words to Timothy that say, "For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it." And I realized that the things of the world, they may be good and beautiful, but the truly good, the truly beautiful, belong to a higher world. And we can sense the goodness and the beauty in worldly things, but none of them last. And I began viewing my possessions more as transient things. So I began seeing them differently as things like fireworks or bubbles or ocean waves, things that you observe in the moment and then you let them go. My faith has allowed me to see that just finally I realized none of this was ever mine in the first place, and I wasn't made to attach to it.
That is so good because often I think our stuff is really an identity issue. We feel that we are defined by it, that it's bringing value and worth and maybe our status in society. Do you think that that plays a factor in why we attach ourselves to our stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And I talk about that in the book. And I think that we often identify with what we own, with what we do. If you would describe yourself, I'm guessing that maybe your possessions might come up or, your job. And really, the scripture says that we are sons and daughters of God, and that is our identity. And I think when we do shift our focus away from our stuff back to the one who truly matters, we start to see that.
I really agree with that. I think that's the trappings of even our North American culture. I'm sure you've done some traveling as I have. And when you go to a culture where they just live with so little, I just experienced personally the joy and the ease that they lived with. Why is that the case, Julia?
Yeah, I think there's just freedom in that. The average American home now has over 300,000 items in it. 300,000. And we're just not made to manage that much stuff, and it's contributing to stress and anxiety, and they don't have that in those other countries where they own so little. We're not meant to mate to we're not meant for survival mode. We're not made to live with all this overwhelm and chaos and discontent. We can end that. So I wrote the book for anyone who wants to live that lighter life, and the book is just full of the practical tools to make that possible, and I think we can learn a lot from those countries, like you say, that do have less stuff.
Well, give us some practical tools because after this interview, I got to go home and I'm going to start decluttering. Okay. So, what is like the first, how do you get started with this?
Well, I think the best area to start is in your home that is causing you the most stress. So take a piece of paper and just write down all the areas of your home that you want to declutter, and then rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most stressful, 1 being the least, and start at number 10 and then just go down from there because that's going to create real change in your home, functional change. And you'll feel that lightning immediately. And then also start small. Even decluttering just 15 minutes a day can make a big difference. 15 minutes a day is 7.5 hours a month. It's 90 hours a year. You can get a lot done in 90 hours. So those small, consistent efforts lead to big changes. And the book will show you exactly what to do during those 15 minutes a day that you're decluttering.
Can you give us just a brief hint of what to do in those 15 minutes?
Well, sure. It really depends on what area of the home that you're going to start with. Is there one that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I think the kitchen. Can we start there?
The kitchen would be a great spot to start. Yeah. So I use a tool called the power of half for the kitchen, and I have just started getting rid of half of my possessions in each category. So I'd go to the coffee mugs. If I had 14 coffee mugs, then I had 7, and I'd box up 7 of them, and I'd experiment with that. I'd see, okay, can I live with 7 coffee mugs?
Right.
Yes, I could. The kitchen has so many duplicate items, and so it's a great spot to just see if you can divide it in half, box up half of it. You don't have to get rid of it right away. You can leave it in storage for 3 months, and if you need something, go get it, bring it back into your life. But there's a good chance that you won't need it. And if you have it after 3 months, then just let it go.
I think that's so practical and so helpful. There's so many things that we really don't need in our lives and probably haven't used in a while. Talk to us
Mhm.
about the financial freedom that you experienced through this minimalism, including you breaking free of $40,000 in consumer debt. Like, how did adopting this lifestyle then help you financially?
Yes, it helped us out so much financially, Lori. In my experience, minimalism makes you an intentional spender, and that is a game changer. Shopping is no longer a hobby. We realize that we need less than we thought we did to be happy, and we stop throwing money toward random stuff. And that's going to break the cycle of consumer debt. It's going to put more money back in our bank account. So it does change your finances. And then, two, when you live a minimalist lifestyle, you're likely not renting a storage unit. You might own a smaller home, so your mortgage is smaller. You don't buy duplicate items. If you have, you know, one pair of jeans that you really love, you're not going to need 10 of them. And that all saves you money too. And this book has a chapter on money that'll give you the tools to help break free from consumer debt and to have better financial health too.
That's so great because really it's like a ripple effect, right? Of the spending, the buying. Now you got to take care of the stuff. You got to have a place for the stuff, right? The stress, like it just builds up, builds up, builds up. What do you say to people they're watching, think, I could just never do this? Like, but I'm feeling this overwhelm and anxiety. You talk about the externals, like in the home, but what things internally is it work together or are there things internal soul work that we need to do as well?
It's a really good question. I would say they can work together. I would say to do the soul work first. You can start anywhere, but it's really powerful if you can start with the soul work because what I find is that decluttering your home can give you a dopamine rush, just like buying something new can. And so if you're decluttering and then you're buying it all back in, you're really not making a change in your home and you're kind of just stuck in this declutter spending cycle. And so what I've found is if you can work on the heart, maybe uproot comparison with gratitude. That's the tool that I love for comparison is to use just counter it with gratitude. But if you're looking at your neighbor's stuff and you just let go of stuff, but then you see something they have and you're still caught in comparison and you want that, you're going to buy that. And then that cycle is going to continue and your home's still going to be full of stuff. So I think that if you can work on the inner decluttering piece as soon as you can, I think it can really go a long way to find freedom and peace.
You know what? That's so good. And it is, I think, so much a part of our journey, the dopamine rush, the comparison to others, the buying into the consumer mentality. So your final thoughts, just for someone considering stepping into this, maybe a trial run at first, but what would you say to them? They're feeling overwhelmed, maybe like you were, these babies and all the stuff in the house. And what would you say to them today?
But I would say go for it. What do you have to lose? See it as an experiment. You don't have to 100% commit. Just experiment with changing your living environment and see how you feel. If you feel better, then you're onto something. It's for you. And this book will show you how to transform your life so that you can find peace. So if you're interested, grab the book and just try it.
Well, can we just say that today is book launch day? Today is the day that the book comes out in all the places. So go to wherever you buy books and get Julia's book, Declutter Your Heart and Your Home. It's a beautiful book, which makes me want to read it. And it's full of practical tips and insights. Thank you so much, Julia, for writing it down, for now equipping many. And we just really appreciate you being here today.
Well, thanks so much, Lori. It was a fun conversation. Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Ryan Walter, and during my 15-year NHL career, I signed the odd autograph, especially in Montreal. I remember once there was a young boy, and I signed my name, and then I put John 3:16 next to it, underneath it. And he looked up at his dad, and he said, "Dad, he's wrong. My name's not John, and it's 3:30. I love that story. You know what I love about John 3:16 is that God so loved the world that he sent his only begotten son. Love that idea. You know where I've been going recently, though, is to John 3:17, right? Where in 16 he sent, but in 17 he says, I didn't send my son to judge the world. I sent my son to save the world. Love that thought.
One of the most important things to build your life upon is the faithfulness of God. I'm not sure what you trust in or who you trust in, but I know that I put my trust in God. Why do I put my trust in God? Because I have discovered that he is faithful. The Bible teaches this principle over and over again, that God is faithful. And it's because of his faithfulness that I trust him. Do I understand his ways? Not always. And many times they're way above me, as they will be above you. But we have to choose who it is that we trust in. And I trust in God because he's faithful. The psalmist wrote about it in Psalm 89, 1-3. I want to read you these words today, which actually becomes backdrop for that beautiful song, Great is Your Faithfulness. Here it goes. I will sing of the Lord's great love forever. With my mouth I'll make your faithfulness known through all generations. I will declare that your love stands firm forever, that you have established your faithfulness in heaven itself. And you have said, I have made a covenant with my chosen one. I've sworn to David, my servant. And when God makes a promise, when it says here, I swear to my servant David, he is saying, I am faithful. I will come through. You can trust on me. Do you like to sing? Or are you one of those people that sing in the showers? Well, David the shepherd boy, a.k.a. the giant killer, the warrior of the king, he knew the importance of singing and giving praise to God. And he says here, I will sing of your great love forever. And what is he going to sing about? He says, I will sing about your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. A few months ago, when there was still snow on the ground, my wife and I went to the bedside of a dear elderly lady who was part of our church family. She was affectionately known to everyone as Aggie. And Aggie was in the final moments of life. Much of her life, she had gone through life singing and playing the piano. And as she was there in those final moments, some of her family were with her, two of her daughters actually. We kind of came into her room at a sacred moment. And suddenly, as we were talking to Aggie, we realized that she was starting to take her final breaths. And in that moment, the two daughters Googled two other siblings who were traveling from the airport to be there. And they FaceTimed her, and thank goodness for technology. And guess what they did? The ones that were FaceTiming and were in the car pulled over by the side of the road. The two daughters that were there in the room, the four of them began to sing. I could hear them through the phone. I could hear the two daughters, and my heart just welled up with emotion. And there, in perfect four-part harmony, they began to sing this song, Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. It was a powerful moment. I stood there with tears of joy running down my eyes, thinking to myself, if you have to go, there is no better way to go than hearing people sing the song to you that you have sung all your life, which was her song as well. Right now, Aggie is in the presence of Jesus, and I think she's giving me a thumbs up to what I am saying today. But I want to talk to you about God's faithfulness in your life. I want to talk to you about whether or not you're walking and resting in his faithfulness, in knowing that he is more than enough, that he is the one who will bring you through. He says, with my mouth, I will make your faithfulness known through all generations. I know that when I die, I hope that my children will testify of me that I believed in the faithfulness of God, that even through the thick and thin, we saw God sustain us. even with the sense of his peace in the moments that we don't understand. And we're all going to have those moments. You're going to have them. I'm going to have them. I've already had them. But I've been sustained by his faithfulness. And the psalmist says, I will declare that your love stands firm forever. What an incredible statement. God's love, it stands firm. It's the foundation that I'm building it on. His love and his faithfulness are yours for today.
Will you donate 2 hours of your time? Crossroads Prayer Center is seeking people with a heart willing to join in the amazing work God is doing through prayer. Providing over 1,300 prayer interactions daily, Crossroads Prayer Partners speak biblical truth and words of life over people's need. Join in God's transforming work through prayer and enrich your faith. Learn more at crossroads.ca/prayervolunteer.
Glad to be with us today on The Perspective. And as we continue to share God's word, I want to remind you that you are of incredible importance to the Lord. It might seem like I'm just a voice in the dark speaking out to you. We have never met. Some of you have met, though, of course. But nonetheless, God speaks to you and to me through the voices of other people as we share his word. I've been doing these recordings for this week here in our kitchen, thinking about all the meals that my incredible wife has prepared, thinking about all the incredible meals that I've made. Well, if you call toast and eggs a meal, then I'm guilty. But here's what I want to say. We need to daily eat food. And I want to invite you to get a copy of the Summer Soundbites. We're suggesting people give a gift of $5 or more. And if you can't, just let us know. We will still send it out to you. We want you to have a copy of this so that you can be in God's Word, so that you can study together along with us. And you can follow us at any time. Go to Roku. We stream there. That's a favorite spot of ours. All the social media platforms, several stations across Canada, and now into the States. We're so excited about that. Again, if you need prayer, you can call our toll-free number at any time. There are people standing by to pray for you, to remind you that God does love you.